Welcome to Landria Anka on YouTube, here to help you break through fears. Live a beautiful, awesome life. You know, if you could eliminate just fear, you could live an awesome life. Because if there's no fear, then no matter what you went into, if it didn't work out the way you wanted, you'd be fine with it. You'd know that something else great is going to come along, or you'd say, wow, okay, I learned something, or wow, let's try something else. There would be no fear, right? Really think about it. If you could eliminate just that one thing, forget all the other stuff, faith and all the manifesting. If you eliminated fear, everything would just flow to you, because you'd be like an open gateway to everything. I want to share a little story with you. Now, I am starting, first of all, I want to do my plug. I think it's up here. When you see this little thing jutting out, that is my internet training that I offer. If you click that, you can go and get several videos will come in, one every day, don't freak out, one each day, and it's actually shows you how you can create an online business. It's not the training itself, but it walks you through how it all works. I did that. I went outside of my fear zone. I actually said, okay, I want to change my life. How am I going to do that? There's going to be some fear involved. I'm sorry, people, but you know, fear is built in because it's supposed to protect us, but it seems to work against us more, right? I mean, how many times do you really need fear? When a lion walks in the room? I don't know. I may not even need that, right? Maybe it's a friendly lion. But so I quit my job, my 25 years of investment banking, and I learned the internet. Okay, that was fear. Technology. Yikes. Really wasn't technology. Actually, when I found out, it was just really step by step. So if you're interested, you can get your free videos. I'll actually be on the other side to talk through with you. And if you join, I will actually personally be there to mentor you. Not in your life, although that comes along with it too, but just to create an online business. Freedom. Not going in an office. Automated income. Yeah, it takes work. Everything in life takes work. Why are we so afraid of that? Oh, I'm going to have to work. I'm going to have to put time. I'm going to have to learn something new. Where? All right, I want to share a story with you because I'm creating an online mentoring program, coaching program, 12 weeks. It's called One Big Thing. I think you're going to love it. I'm like, wow, yesterday getting major information, couldn't stop writing, and it's just all coming together, and I think it's stuff that's different. Of course, it's always using the same, breaking through fears and all that stuff, but I think it's a different kind of training session that will help you move through and past fears, past all this stuff we hang on to. And I want to talk a little bit about it today because, I had my own epiphany a while back. So I have always been a pretty fearless person. I have the fear, but I have the ability to just go do stuff, crazy stuff. Even though I've got the fear, I just sort of find myself doing it anyways. And half the time I'm in the middle of it going, oh my God, what am I doing? And at the end going, wow, that was awesome, right? I told you about the biking thing, 990 miles biking thing. I don't bike. I'm in shape though. I do work. I do CrossFit. Get on the bike in clips. I've never used clips in my life. I put clips on an hour before the race. Well, you know what happened. Yeah, I fell off the bike and I was all bloody. But I felt really good at the end of that race. I really did. I was like, yeah, I tried it. I did it. This was awesome. I was exhausted and bloody, but I felt great. So you know what? The bottom line is you got to fall down. You got to get bloody sometimes. That's what makes that finish line so awesome. I can't tell you how I felt when I hit that finish line. Oh my God. I was so excited. It was just awesome. And that bloody trip in 90-degree heat is what made it so awesome. If I got on a tricycle and went down to the end of the block, I'd go, yeah, okay, ha. But this was just exhilarating, and that's what That's what you don't want to miss. There's fear. Yes, I was going up this hill going, oh my God, I'm going to fall over. Yeah, I fell over. Have you ever seen Laugh-In? I'm dating myself. Laugh-In's a show back when like Goldie Hawn was on it, and this little guy would get on a tricycle. You know, he's adult. He would get on a tricycle, and he was like this old man. He'd go a few feet and he'd fall over. That was me. I'm not afraid to fall over. Don't be afraid to fall over. Cuts heal. They really do. And they can be like awesome stories too. I've got some scars. I've got some stories. All right, so I want to share with you, I was going through the first week lesson. And basically the whole mentoring is about one big thing. Finding your one big thing. And I help you get to that one big thing. In 12 weeks, we work on getting you to that one big thing and finding out why you don't have the one big thing. So I want to share a story maybe you can relate to. I had to work through this myself. Sometimes we think we know what our blocks are, and maybe it's not that at all. Maybe it's something else. I'll give you an example. I came from a very nice Midwestern family, beautiful, lovely parents, very supportive, loved us, always could count on them. No abuse, no physical, emotional abuse of any kind. Good people. But they grew up in a Depression era, so they had this like, I don't even know if it's lack mentality. It's like the saving, you know, but we handled things. We had boats and cars and, you know, my parents had money. So we never lacked, but, you know, my coat would be like, you know, the sleeve would be up to here before my parents would go out and buy me a new one, winter coat. It was that kind of mentality, like, oh, you know, you feel like there's not enough money, but it was always there when we needed it. Great food, everything, right? But I grew up with that, and I always I would do really well financially, and then I'd struggle, you know, especially in my 20s. And then I'd do really well, and then I'd struggle. It was like, what? There was a pattern there. There was a pattern there. I would do really well, but I would struggle. So I finally came to the conclusion that, oh, well, I grew up with a lack mentality, so part of me thinks that I can't really be wealthy and stay there. And then I re-examined that. And I want you to think about this. I want you to put the blame aside and remember that no matter what's happened to you, no matter who did it to you or what the situation, those are all controlled by people with their own programming and their own history. So we cannot blame them. They are no different than us. If we blame them, we'll have to blame ourselves for all the stupid stuff we've done, including to ourselves, right? So don't be throwing stones at somebody else. Take a look at that and say, no matter how traumatic that may have been for you, mine wasn't so traumatic, but it was a pattern that I brought forward, and I realized I had great parents. I can't go, oh, they were jackasses. They weren't. So I thought, where's this pattern coming from? Oh, it's that Depression era thinking. No, actually, you know what it was? My parents would never help us financially, my brother and I, until we were absolutely in dire straits. So I was in college, I was working full time, putting myself through school. My parents weren't paying my way. And I was broke. I remember putting money together to eat French fries for dinner. And so I realized at some point that, okay, if I'm really broke, I can make that phone call and my parents would write me a check. And then I'd be okay for a while. And then I'd work hard, and then I'd do everything I could. And then finally, you know, University of Michigan's very expensive. I was broke, and I was paying for my own apartment with a roommate and my car and everything else. But my dad did help me with that. And then I'd be absolutely in the worst possible financial situation, and I'd call them up, and then they'd write me a check. Well, you see the pattern here? Here, I'm thinking it's the lack mentality, and when I really thought about it, the pattern was you don't get money until you hit rock bottom. My brain, even my subconscious, even though I know that's not true, that's just what my parents did, I knew that my brain was programming, when you're totally broke, that's when you get more money. And I was repeating that pattern, that I have to lose everything to get all this money back. So I flourished very well, but there's still a part of me that even if I have a ton of money in the bank, I will start to worry sometimes because I'm thinking I'm going to lose it all, because in my mind then I'll get it back again, right? So I still actually start to think that way even though there's plenty of money in the bank. It's a conditioning that doesn't go away. You have to just be aware of it. And finally I realized my parents weren't, so I thought, oh, my parents really reward me for being broke, right? When I'm successful, I didn't get anything. My parents bought my brother a house. I didn't get a house. Why? Because he wasn't doing well. So he got rewarded for not working. I'm working my tail off. I didn't get a house. It seemed unfair, right? But that my parents had the best of intentions. They really did. I can't say, oh, it's my parents' fault. They were rewarding, some failure. No, my parents just were doing what they thought was right. They wanted us to work hard and not have things handed to us so that, then we would only come to them when they'd give money when we really needed it. But what was happening is we were just learning that, no matter how hard you work, it's not till you're broke that you actually get money. That was not their intention. They wanted to make sure we were hard workers, and we still are. Well, my brother passed away last year, so. But, so I want you to think about this. I want you to dig deeper into why you're doing the things you're doing. And I want you to understand that the people that conditioned you, they had their own intentions and reasons. And it's usually not bad. Even if it's abuse, their intentions aren't bad. They're in a very dense, angry place based on where they have come from. And they've been programmed and taught that. And if they're in a super dense place, they're striking out to the outside world because that's all they know. Because they're in turmoil inside and they have nothing else but power and control that they use, that they strike out and use it out here because they're just so angry. It's not personal. It was never personal. That is them exploding in their density. And some of them will come out of it. Some of them will recognize. Some of them will want, forgiveness. Maybe it'll never happen. That's not your problem or responsibility. I want you to take a look at whatever has programmed you. Like with me, I have to watch it. I really do. Because I do very well for myself, but I'm like, I have to make sure that I don't do anything or self-sabotage myself to go back down there to get rewarded and do well again. The pattern. You're going to have to watch yourself because those thoughts will come in. You'll actually, really self-sabotage yourself. So I'm going to talk about bright, shiny things in the next video because that's the other thing. Is like we always want to be saved. We want things to solve our problems. We want everything to do. You've got to get in touch with why you're not doing well, why you're not feeling good, why you're not in the place you want to be. And know that it's maybe a journey. It may not be a quick fix. And that journey is what's going to reverse all this thinking over here, the programming. And that doesn't always happen overnight. It can. You get to do that. If you can do it overnight. When I recognized it wasn't the lack mentality or the depression mentality, it was programming to be broke rewarded me with money. It took a long time. I had an epiphany and I just had this, it was like such a huge weight lifted. I went, oh my gosh, I don't have to suffer anymore to be wealthy. I don't have to go down here to come back up to be wealthy again. I don't have to go into that cycle back and forth anymore. I can just stay here. I don't have to worry about going down there because as soon as I worry, I'm focusing on being down there and I don't want to be down there ever again. So you can do the same thing. You could say, I don't have to go into that place that says you're not worthy, you're not smart enough, you're not that person that can be wealthy. Who are you, to own a company, or own a business? Hey, click on my thing. You can own a business. You can do anything you want. And it starts today. Take a look at it. Don't get into some long analysis. Well, mommy and daddy didn't love me. They did love you. Sometimes people love in whatever way they're able to express, and they're a product of what they came from. There's a whole bunch of dynamics that go into that. Don't try and figure it out. Just know that you were a participant in that. Yeah, I know. No, I wasn't. Yes, you were. Yes, you were. That's part of my training too. When we take responsibility, we come to terms with it, it becomes so beautiful. It's like, oh my God, wow, I took calculus. Not basic math, I took calculus. I can pass calculus, and I can teach it to others. If you took on a big challenge, think it through. What were you supposed to learn, and what is the pattern that's holding you down, or the anger, or the non-forgiveness that is just your story in your head? Pick that pattern out and make sure you dig deep like I did to realize it wasn't that lack mentality, because I thought, well, they didn't really have a lack mentality. We had speedboats and beautiful house in the lake. I was thinking my dad had new cars. Wait a minute, they didn't really have a lack mentality. They were savers. That wasn't it. I didn't have it right. And when I figured it out, it really resonated with me. You'll know when you go, bing, oh my God, that's it. That's it. My mother didn't love me. No, my mother was in a world, I'm not talking about my mom. This is somebody I know. My mother never wanted to have kids, but she was born in an era where you get married, you have kids, you didn't have a career, and she never wanted that. So she never connected to her kids because she was deprived of a life that she wanted to live, and she was pushed into something, because she allowed society to pressure her. And she could have made a decision, but she didn't. It was tougher back then. It wasn't about me. My mom didn't live a life that now I can, right? It's actually somebody I know. It wasn't personal. Her mom just should have never had kids. She loved them, but she wasn't a kind person that should have had them or really wanted them. I didn't want kids. I don't have kids. I think I'm a first waver. If you know Dolores Cannon, I think I'm a first or second wave. Teachers, they don't have kids. They're usually not married. Yeah? So we'll talk about it some other time. Dig deep. Find it and come to terms with it. And know what your pattern is and realize that's all it is. It was a belief and a pattern. Here's where it came from. Oh my gosh, I don't have to suffer. I don't have to do that. That's just programming. That's what I learned. That's all it is. I don't have to suffer to be wealthy ever again. Bet you a lot of you do that. This with your finances, there's self-sabotage going on there because you're probably told you shouldn't have money or it's evil or all this stuff. So maybe you have the, kahunas to get it and then you lose it again. Think about it. All right. Hope this was helpful. We're going to have a lot of fun when the mentoring program comes out because I'm really doing some really awesome things. I'm not writing it. I'm not writing it, I'm typing. Love you, sending you abundance, light, peace, prosperity, good health, joy, happiness, breakthroughs, and a fearless life. Namaste.